guys, welcome to the Next Level Live. Thank you for joining us. Very excited. We got a special guest, Andrew Taylor. Say hi, Andrew.
Hey, everybody.
Don't screw it up. It's been going good. The hosts have been doing pretty good, so I want you to go off track.
You got it.
We have a great lineup today. You get to hear from Zac, Letticia, and Paige. Excuse me. If you've not heard them train, what's neat is what I like doing is hearing what other people are doing, because a lot of times it's different. You know, I think one of the things, Andrew, that a lot of things opened my eyes, but I remember early on talking to you, it was probably 7-8 months in, and I just never asked him, and I'm like, so what percentage of your appointments do you close? And I'm waiting for him to tell me 90%, because that seemed like their leads, and most people say yes, and your answer was what?
25.
25. And I was like, that's not accurate. There's no way. He's like, no, I just run a lot of appointments. And I'm like, the good news is you need to get a lot better. Yet he was still issuing 15, 20, 25, 30. And then you started making these tweaks. And what was great about it is he was already had a team and he had people rolling. But here's what's funny. 25%, you didn't have inexpensive leads like Facebook and internet. So Try doing it direct mail, 25% close ratio. So thankfully got working with a lot of the people here and was open to saying, and also what a lot of people do, Andrew, is you go, what's your close rate? You ran 30 appointments. How many did you close? If they close 15, they go, about 80%. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times they do that because they're thinking that, hey, that's what we want to hear. What I want to hear is just what you're closing. That's all I want to hear. And also, I want to be able to help. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's my daughter. She thinks she's really smart. She's going to outsmart. So she goes for this placement test in college, right? Mm-hmm. She says, I don't like math, Dad. And I go, math doesn't like you either, but you got to learn it, right? She's talking about calculus and all that. And she said, I'm going to take my placement test, but what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and just move through it real quick, because then they won't put me in the highest math class, and then I'll be good. I'm really smart, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's a really bad idea, right? Well, what does she do? Test supposed to take 2 hours. 11 minutes later, she's out. I'm out. I'm like, what'd you do? She said, I just kind of moved through it. They're going to put me in a math class. The lady comes out. She goes, you didn't answer 3/4 of the questions. We're going to put you in a math class that you have to take for no credit to then get into a math class. She goes, can I take it again? It's not, it's one of those things where you gotta be willing to ask for help. You gotta be transparent about where you're at, And I think that's one of the things, I feel like off kilter, his keys are weighing me down. So, Andrew, if you were to give one or two pieces of advice to anybody, let alone that are particular to sales, what would those be in our environment currently with Family First Life?
I think the first thing would be that the numbers always work out. You just don't know which way they're going to work out. So if you have if you get the same amount of leads every week, let's use my schedule for an example. I wanted to book 24 appointments a week, and I would sell 6 to 7 appointments, so 25%.
Right.
But the numbers will always work out, but you just don't know which way they're going to work out. So it could be you could have 5 no-shows in a row, and then the last one gets the premium where it always works out. Right. Or you might have them all good in the beginning. And so you just have to remember not to get upset and not blame yourself, because everybody goes through it. Every producer goes through all the same stuff, no-shows, cancellations, whatever. But if you go through all the numbers, you're going to get the premium at the end of the week.
Well, I think the other thing is if you looked at your numbers, which I did when we started talking about that, you had pretty high premiums, wrote annuities, you did so many different things and also, 40 and 30. If you work 40 hours a week and you run 30 appointments, 23, 24 is not going to cut it. You were talking with a group the other day, I'm like, if you book 30 and 10 of them didn't show up, you showed up and they didn't show up. And then out of those 20, you closed 10, which I think about everybody's at a fit. We're really started, we understand it. You got sales training. You had not gotten sales training previously. You kind of I don't know what you all did. You called people up and asked them nicely what to do. It was always I go to the house a lot and they're watching TV. I'm like, what'd I tell you to do?
Turn off the
TV.
He said, take the remote.
Get the remote nicely and go.
But I did it, and I was like, oh, this is okay.
Yeah. Because you're actually there for an appointment. Instead, he's watching TV with them, wondering why nobody's buying life insurance. I'm like, dude, who's in charge of training you? What are you doing? But he's like, I'll try it. You're waiting for them to scream at you, and they didn't. They're like, oh, thank you. I'm sorry, right? Okay, you're right. Let's get going. But if you book 30, you weren't crazy good in the phone, and 10 weren't there. Weren't crazy good in the house, and you closed 10. And on average, you're going to get $1,000 of premium in the house. That's $10,000. You're submitting 520, and you're Hall of Fame numbers.
Yeah.
without you being, oh my God, he or she's so unbelievably good. No, they just run more appointments.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. The numbers will just work themselves out. It's no different than hiring. The numbers work out. You just have to stay focused on doing the right
one other
things.
thing, every like 4 weeks I would have a really, really bad week. Every 4 weeks. So like I'd have a week where it was like a dogfight to make any sales. And it happened, and I always thought, man, does this still work? And then I'd keep going through the numbers. Then I'd go on another streak selling a bunch in a row.
Mike, how many bad weeks do I have? None. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I would work all weekend long. And if I had a bad, my week was that Saturday and Sunday. I would get back on the phone and work Monday and Tuesday. If I still had a bad week, meaning I'd work 7 days a week, 15 hours a day to make sure, because I never wanted to fall. It wasn't, I'm not great. And I think that was part of your deal was so different with the way you were thinking. And I think if we can, because I was trying to work as hard as I could to sell as much as I could to build a business, and then to not be at the mercy of the dollar bill. Like dollar bills and everything, I just don't want to be owned by it. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Me too.
And I think for you, and it's one of the things with your organization, we really started analyzing early on. Now you guys are killing it, you're growing. Was like, we don't want the average agent issuing $6,000 a month because they're not making money. We had a group in here today, and what the couple said, husband and wife said, we were at this company, and all they did was talk to us about hiring, which is what y'all used to do. They didn't talk about sales. Hire. And we used to always say, Mike, remember, somebody got to sell the insurance, bro. So, hey, this is all great, but at the end of the day, nobody's going to make any money. They're not going to make any money if we don't get them selling insurance. And I get if you hire 29 people for somebody, it'll all work out, but you might quit. I want everybody to go out and submit 10 grand a week so they can have the money they want to have. It's 40 hours a week. I don't want you to have to work 100 hours a week. It's 40 hours a week. Stay focused. I promise you, we listen to Zac talk about his final expense, Letticia in your home, and Paige talk about hiring early on. It's going to benefit you, but you have to keep your eyes open, ears open. You taught me a lot about hiring because I wasn't good at it. You'll talk to people. I was like, you in or you out? That's not so good at hiring. Are you in? Are you out? Or whatever you want to do. I learned from you. I learned from a lot of people in the company that are doing really well. I learned from Meaike and myriad of people. Thank you for jumping on. Andrew, thank you for being here.
You got it.
I appreciate you, buddy. And guys, Zac, Letticia, and Paige, it's all yours.
Hey guys, Zac Twardowski here, down in Charleston, South Carolina. As always, it's an absolute honor to be able to get on, get back, and help out on these calls. And especially for me, because being someone that, when I first came into this business, I wasn't very good at the sales part. I wasn't very good at the human interaction part, and I wasn't really particularly very good on the phones. And it's all learned stuff that I learned, by getting on all these different conference calls, going to all the different sales trainings I could, getting around everyone, that was doing what I wanted to be doing from the very beginning. So now, being with FFL for about a year and a half, going on 2 years, it's really cool to be on the other side and be able to give back and, try to teach some people some of the stuff I've learned. As a lot of the vice presidents say, it's they've stepped on a lot of the minefields, and they can tell us some stuff to avoid. So hopefully I can, tell you guys some stuff to definitely do and to not do, and hopefully this is helpful. But yeah, like I wanted to say, I am grateful to be on the call, and I'm really grateful for the mentorship I've had in this business so far. I definitely would not be where I'm at without the help of Shawn and John Wetmore and Athena, and they've done a lot for me on a personal and professional level, just to help me to get to where I'm at. So yeah, I've obviously like most people, we're very competitive and no one's ever really happy with where they're at, but sometimes it's cool to take a step back and look and see that I have grown a little bit in the year and a half I've been here, and there's a lot more to go, but hopefully some of the stuff I say today will help you all out there who aren't sure if you can do it or not, or if you're just trying to get to the next level, whether that's going from doing $10,000 a month to doing $15,000 to $20,000 a month. So hopefully some of the stuff I can go through today will help you out with that. So a little bit of a backstory on me. I didn't have any sales experience, definitely no insurance experience coming into this, and I actually had a different job right when I graduated college, sort of lined up, and I just happened across this opportunity on ZipRecruiter. It was a job Athena had posted, Athena Villanueva. And I took a look at it, and I was like, man, is that too good to be true? So I did a lot of research into the company, and I sort of, I was like, wow, if I can really make this kind of money, now's kind of the time to give it a shot. So I guess I'll just kind of go for it. So my girlfriend and I had just moved to South Carolina, didn't have a lot of friends here or anything. And I was like, it's a perfect time to just kind of go all in and see what I can make happen. And I'm really glad I did that. Something that I did in the very beginning, I know my dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse. And I originally was going to go to dental school after I got done with college. Kind of followed the family type trade. My younger sister is going to medical school. My girlfriend's going to medical school. So me doing what I do, I'm a little bit of the black sheep in that I don't follow the medical profession. But yeah, so sorry to get off track. But when I first started, working here, the only person I really told what I was doing was my girlfriend. We have a great relationship, and she's completely supportive, and she understood kind of what I wanted to accomplish here and kind of what my goals were. And I'm not saying you shouldn't tell your family or consult people, but I'm saying, if people might be negative about what you're going to do, and if you have big goals that might scare certain people, I would say, it's sometimes good to figure out which people you want to hear advice from, and which advice you value, and which advice you want to kind of steer clear from. And the reason I didn't, fully disclose exactly what I was doing to my family right away is I feared they'd be kind of negative and sort of talk me out of what I was going to do and what I wanted to do. A few months in, when I started making, good money, issuing $15,000, $20,000 a month, kind of within my fourth or fifth month in, or third or fourth month in, I did tell my parents and explain, the business and what I was doing, and and they were okay with it. But I think that's kind of an important lesson for a lot of people when you're getting started, because when you're brand new, you're still kind of developing some of the mental toughness that it takes to go out into the field for a day, have 8 appointments, have 5 of them not be there. One person, when you get there, tell you that to get off your porch, and the other 2 people, be not interested, and then have to drive home. I think when we're brand new, what a lot of people do is they're tempted to call, a family member or a spouse or someone like that, and be like, "Oh my gosh, this day was terrible. The leads were bad. The clients were dumb. Whatever the case may be." And if you do that, then just because people aren't in the business with you and maybe they don't have the same ambition, same drive or whatever, they'll totally agree with you and enable you to, to think that way. And you can never succeed if you're thinking, negatively all the time. So that's one thing I did from the very beginning. Whenever I was unsure of, if I had a bad day or whatever, I would reach out to someone who was doing better than me and ask them for help and guidance, so I could get better. And I think, that's something that I've seen a lot of, is a lot of agents will, even if it's not their family or whatever, if they're having, a bad day in the field or whatever, they'll call a friend or someone, that they run business with, and, who's also having a bad day, and then it doesn't help anybody, And I think if everyone would just, try to reach out to someone who's doing more than what they're doing, like that's kind of my rule now. If I'm asking someone for help, it's like they need to be doing better than where I'm at, because it's cliche, but it always holds true. You are the top 5 people you sort of hang around, and you act like those people, and you make the same kind of money as those people. So for me, I really try to reach up, and talk to the Johns and the Athenas and the Shawns of the world, so that I can get to their level, because I'm not happy with where I'm at. And if you're happy with where you're at, I'm not talking to you. But, if you feel like you could be growing more, and you're realizing you're spending a lot of time talking to other agents who are just doing a little bit, it's not helping you grow, then, cut those people out when you're in the field, and certainly talk to them still, but make sure to reach out for help from someone who's doing what you want to be doing, And that's something that took me a while to fully grasp, because it's easy just to have the easy conversations and and to have, another agent who's in the field having a bad day just telling you that, tell you, oh, it's not your fault. Like, no one could have sold that one. And those conversations don't help you grow at all. For me, when I was trying to learn this business, how I grew was every time I had an appointment where I didn't make a sale, I called, John or Athena, and I asked them, hey, what could I have done differently in this appointment, right? And I kind of took the approach that, if let's just say Matt Smith was in this home, he would have closed it, right? So John, what could I have done differently here to have gotten that one? Because obviously I did something wrong, and then I listened and I implemented. And I still do that to this day. If I screw something up, or if it's about, I do something incorrectly with hiring or staff or whatever, I listen, and if someone gives me advice who's doing more than what I'm doing or wants to get where I'm going, I'm like, well, I might as well try it, because whatever I'm doing is not working. So I think if more people did that, then you would grow so much faster. Like, okay, I got this advice, like, I'll try it maybe later, or people hear all this great stuff at sales trainings, right? Like, that's the best thing. Like, I remember recently we had a sales training, right? And someone was like, what do you do when you go door knock? And my response was, I just walk up there and I say, hey, like, I'm here for our appointment. And if the client's like, well, we didn't have an appointment, so, oh, I don't know, the schedulers must have messed it up. Anyways, there's somewhere I can sit down, and everyone sort of laughed at that. I think people laugh because they're like, that's insane, like, I would never do that, right? But I got a call from an agent the other day who was like, hey, dude, I tried your door knocking thing, and it worked. I sat down, I wrote the policy. And I was like, first of all, it's not my door knocking thing. I think I stole that from Shawn or something. But out of everyone at that conference, that's the only person that I think has even tried that, And it's not like I'm just telling it to be funny. It's not to be funny. It's what I actually do in the field. So like, out of the 60 people that were there, like, one person actually went and tried it, and he wrote a policy. Go figure, right? And it's not like I'm, some sales genius or anything. It's something that I stole from someone else and I tried to implement. So I think, if more people, when you ask for help and seek help and went to these conferences, actually tried implementing what you were learning, you would grow so fast. And just not be scared of the result, because really, what do you have to lose? If you're not happy with where you're at, try something different. The next thing, and sorry to ramble a little bit about that, but the next thing I wanted to touch on, something that I think really helped me, aside from just changing my associations, is, being really committed to my schedule. Early on, I just kind of, like, I don't have kids. I'm not married. I have a long time, spouse, but we're not married. And so I kind of just took the approach, like, well, I don't have kids. I can just kind of run business whenever I feel like it and not whenever I feel like it. And I'll try to sort of get 20 appointments a week. And if it happens, great. If not, no big deal. Was my kind of approach to it early on. And I realized, I guess I didn't realize right away. John pointed it out, I believe, but I would have a week where I would do like 10 grand, and then I'd have a week where I did like 3, and then I'd have a week where I did like 15, and then I'd do 3 again. And I was like, dude, what? Like, why does this keep happening to me? And he was like, you don't have a schedule. Like, you just run appointments until you have enough money, and then you stop working. I think a lot of people do that. And something that that has really helped me change how I approach this whole business is to be insanely focused and fall in love with the activity rather than the end goal, right? So if I know if I run 30 appointments a week, even if I have 3 bad days in the field, I have 1 great day, and I know that even if I have a bad week, I know that if I do the 30 appointments throughout a whole month, I'll never ever have a bad month. So that's one thing I started doing, is just falling in love with the activity of, working, having no white space in my calendar, and running 25 to 30 appointments every single week. Because, what we do is very simple, right? People filled out a request online or through the mail, and they set an appointment with us, and they let us into their house. And if they've done that much, then they obviously really want insurance. But even if you're really terrible, like I was when I first started, and I still honestly kind of am now, I'm not, the greatest salesperson in the world. I probably close about half the people I sit with. I know if I can close half, then I'm still, gonna make a bunch of money. And that's a way, I started looking at it. And for me, like, some people are a lot better. Like, take Grayson from our team. He's brand new. Seems like he closes just about everyone he sits with, and he seems to issue 20 grand every single week, which is amazing, and I'm super happy for him and real proud of him. But, even for me at this stage, like, I don't close that high, and I know if I set 30 appointments, I'll write about half of the number of appointments I set. I'll write half the annual premium, so my goal is to write 40 to 50 grand a month. So I know if I set 30 appointments every single week, then I'll write about 15 grand a week, and I should issue somewhere between 40 to 50 grand a month. And everyone's numbers are a little bit different. I assume, most people's numbers are quite a bit better than mine, to be totally honest, but I'm cool with it because I know what my numbers are, and it's really easy then for me to treat this like a business, and then understand how many leads I need to have and how to work my schedule. So what I started doing with my schedule now is at the beginning of the month, I'll plan out, I have the next 2 months already planned out, right? So I go through and I write in all the non-negotiable stuff I got to do. So whether it's, a date night with the girlfriend, whether it's seeing my family, whether it's going, to do some sort of sales conference or training or something along those lines, I go ahead and write all that stuff in there, right? And then for me, I run a minimum of 100 appointments a month. I like it to be closer to 120, but 100 is the absolute drop dead minimum. So then what I do once I have, the non-negotiable days that I cannot be in the field and I cannot be dialing, I backtrack my schedule. So I fill in the rest of the days with run days. And the other thing this kind of allows me to do is I know I need to have at least 100 appointments. So as I'm filling in my calendar, I can write actually on my calendar how many appointments I need to have scheduled for each day. So if it's a Monday, I'll have written eight minimum 8 for Tuesday, minimum 8 for Wednesday. And that's something that's really helped me a lot. Because I know sometimes when you're dialing and you have a pretty good dial day, maybe you set 6 appointments, and you're like, well, it's Sunday, or it's Monday, I'm at 8 grand from the weekend, 6 appointments on Tuesday should be good. But for me, if I see that I had written on there that I needed to have, absolutely needed to have 8 appointments that day, it's kind of like you're holding yourself to a higher standard that, a previous version of you decided you needed to have those 8 appointments, right? So it's something that just really helps me, make sure I get the number of appointments and am hitting my actual goals. And, the other thing the schedule really helps me out with is then the days when I'm not in the field, the days when I'm, hanging out with family or whatever the case may be, just taking a day off, I take that day off. Like, it doesn't mean I don't answer the phone, but it means that, when I'm hanging out with people, with my family or whatever, I don't feel bad about not being in the field running business. Like, I always answer the phone for my agents no matter what. Like, I don't take those days off, but, I don't feel bad about not being out in the field producing. The next thing I really wanted to touch on real quick is leads, right? For me, and this coming from someone that used to be a complete mortgage lead junkie, it's kind of crazy how much mortgage I was running last year now that I think about it. But this year I've really transitioned. Earlier this year it was probably 70-30 mortgage to final expense still, and now it's probably the opposite, probably 70% Facebook and final expense, and then maybe 30% mortgage. And I think something I realized is I can't convince myself at all that if you take one mortgage lead that's $60, that it's 4 times better than a Facebook lead that's $15, right? Like, I'll take the 4 leads all day because it gives me such a better chance to win. And also you can get so many of them. So for me, every week, what I try to do, because I'm looking to get about 30 appointments a week. So I'm usually trying to get between 60 to 70 Facebook leads every single week, and then maybe 10 or so direct mail mortgage leads a week if I can. And by doing that, it allows me to really get pretty consistently get my 30 appointments a week. And the other thing I want to touch on based on that real quick is that your leads should always be on auto order, so find a vendor that lets you do recurring orders for the Facebook leads and your mortgage leads or your direct mail final expense leads, because then if you have a bad week, the next week it's not an option, the money's already gone, and you just have to go out and figure it out. You can't decide to then oh, well, I had a bad week, so now I'm going to buy a little bit less leads, and then you have another bad week. Like, it just doesn't allow you to do that. You have the same amount of leads the next week, so you better go sell some insurance, otherwise you're going to be hurting. And I think that's something that'll really help people hold themselves accountable to their schedule, and to treat it like a business. I did want to touch on real quick, because I think the most important part of this whole business is the phone script, or the phones. So one thing I always do on my dial days is I get to the office as early as I can and as early as I need to. I like to plan out the leads the night before for the exact areas I'm going to be running and have them all sorted out. But if I can't do that, then I like to get to the office by 7:30 so I can get everything organized and be dialing the phone by 8 a.m. If you're dialing the phone by 8 a.m., everybody picks up between 8 and 9 in the morning. Like, everyone picks up the phone. My favorite time to dial. I like to have, if I can have 7 or 8 appointments booked before 9 a.m., that's 7 or 8 more appointments than honestly most people in the country have. And I think it just gives me a huge leg up. So if you're not being on, like, not organizing and shuffling and mapping out, but if you're not on the phone by 8 a.m., you're doing yourself a huge disservice, because then you're waiting to hit people in the afternoon time after 6 or 7 at night. And then if those people don't answer, then you're kind of out of luck for your next run day. So get on the phones early and just sit there, focus, and just get the dials done. And for me, I try to just get them done as quickly as I can, because I don't love to dial, but I like to get it done as quickly as I can and kind of race against myself, and see if I can get done 10, 11 o'clock, try to get it done. If not, I keep dialing all day until I have my 15 appointments over the next 2 days. So real quick, I just kind of wanted to run through my phone script a little bit for Facebook leads. Just kind of role play. So I just keep it very simple, like I do everything else in this business. So for a Facebook lead, like ring, like, hey, Bob. Yep. Hey, Bob. This is Zac here. Just getting back with you real quick about the request you'd put in over on Facebook for the state-regulated final expense insurance. And Bob, you put your favorite color on here was blue. Is that right? Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, awesome, Bob. Well, hey, I'm just a field underwriter that was assigned to get the information over to you. As you read on there, there's no physical exam associated with these. They just send me out to verify your height, weight, and any prescriptions. See if you're eligible for any coverage. It takes all of about 10-15 minutes. Bob, are you working? Are you retired? Or are you disabled? No, I'm retired. Okay, got it. Looks like my office got me out your direction tomorrow. Would 8 or 8:30 be better for you? 8:30. Got it. Got you down for 8:30. Go ahead, do me a favor. Write down my name in your appointment book. First name Zac, last name Twardowski. You can just put Zac T if it makes you feel better, so you don't have to try to figure that out. People normally laugh. And then I ask them, hey, if I put this address in my GPS, will it get me there okay? Is there anything I need to look out for? Just so they can picture me coming there. And then I tell them a tall brown-haired guy. I live in the South, right? So I got this from, I think, Zach Leffels. Say, do me a favor. Leave the shotgun behind the door. I don't want to start up my Tuesday by getting shot when you see me pulling up, all right? And they kind of laugh, and then they, they say, okay, sounds good. Yeah, so a couple things I do in there that I think are important. And I think if everyone started doing this, they'd probably book more Facebook appointments. Is early on in the phone script, I tell them, as you read on the Facebook lead, on the Facebook ad, these plans don't require any physical, which is why they send me out, just to verify your height, weight, any prescriptions, and see what you're eligible for. That prevents everybody from asking you why you got to come out, which I think is the biggest objection for the Facebook leads. Yeah, and then mortgage phone script is basically exactly the same. So I'll just run through it real quick. It's ring. Hey, Bob. Yep, hey, Bob, this is Zac. Just getting back with you real quick. I got in the request you had put in for the information for the mortgage protection. You'd mailed it in, looks like about a week or so ago. And you put you're 50 and the wife's 49, both non-smokers. Is that correct? Oh, yeah, that's right. Cool. And it's for the address, the 123 Main Street, right? Yep. Okay, cool. So, Bob, as you read on there, no physical exam with this. They just send me out to verify height, weight, any prescriptions, see if you're eligible for any coverage. They got me out your direction tomorrow. What time do you get home from work? I just assume that all the mortgage protection leads work. If they tell me, hey, I usually am back in the door by 5:30, it's great. I actually don't have a 5:30, but I could squeeze you in after my 6 o'clock, about 6:15, 6:30. Any reason you and the wife will both be home at 6:15, 6:30 tomorrow? Nope, we'll be there. And then I tie it down the same way. And then finally, I just wanted to go ahead and give a couple in-home tips, some things that have really helped me out early on. I didn't take myself very seriously in the home, and I didn't have any structure or professionalism. So I think that led to a lot of other folks not taking me super seriously. And something that I've done that, I had to learn and had to ask Shawn a lot of questions and Athena a lot of questions to figure out what I was doing wrong, why everyone just wanted to be my friend, and why people weren't taking me seriously. But it's because I had no structure, just like everything else. So if you can add structure in your in-home, it'll solve a lot of your problems. So for me, when I get there, no matter the appointment, I get there, I direct them to a table. I always sit down, I pull out whatever the lead form I have is. Like, hey guys, let's just say it's a Facebook lead, right? Hey guys, if you're like most families, you just filled this out because you were looking to either because you didn't have any insurance or you just needed to add a little bit more. Which one is it for you guys? Have them tell me. And then I say, perfect, that's what I usually see. So just so you know what I do, I work with a company called Family First Life. We work with a bunch of different A-rated insurance carriers. And like I said on the phone, I'm a field underwriter, so my job is going to be to go through and figure out, based on a few questions on our client suitability worksheet here, what the best possible scenario for you guys is going to be. I'm going to ask you a couple minutes of health questions, a couple minutes of financial questions, and a couple questions about existing insurance if you have any. And it's going to help me determine and sort of shop around for you and figure out what the best possible carrier for you is going to be. And it should take all of about 10-15 minutes. Sound good? And as soon as they say it sounds good, then you have full permission to run through the financial inventory sheet with them. For me, guys, I use the same financial inventory sheet for mortgage and final expense appointments. I think it is very important to have it printed out because it just adds a whole another level of professionalism and it just seems like it's an actual appointment. You don't have to, but I just like to have it on me. And I like to call it the client suitability worksheet because if they're like, well, why do you want to know about my 401k? I'd be like, I don't know. It's part of the client suitability worksheet. I'm just trying to do my job and help you guys out. So how much was in the 401k? You know what I mean? That's just how I handle any objection now. It makes it very easy, and it's very easy for everyone to copy, I believe. And then lastly, guys, I just wanted to say, I've learned in this business to always just be humble, obviously very confident in yourself, but humble in that know that you could always learn more. That's what I always try to keep doing is learning more and more. So hopefully this video helped some of you guys out, gave you a little bit of perspective, and honestly, hopefully after watching this, you realize anyone can really do this. Anyone can go out and write $400,000 in a year. If I did it, anyone certainly can. I don't think that I was ever in the first place in the Southeast last year, but I was probably always in the top 10 or top 15, and I just did it every single week. And it's nothing that I really did myself. I just had a lot of great mentors that really showed me, what to do, and I just implemented what they told me to do. So like I said, hopefully this helped you guys out, and I hope you all have a great day.
Hi everybody, this is Paige L out of North Carolina. Just had something on my mind I wanted to share with everybody today. We are all so fortunate and blessed to be a part of Family First Life. The company, the culture, the structure that Shawn Meaike has built where everybody helps everybody. We are in a company where you don't have to start and reinvent the wheel. You don't have to start fresh. We learn from the successes that other people have had, what to do. We also learn what not to do. There's no reason to step on a landmine that somebody else has stepped on. And that's kind of where I'm coming from today. So the biggest landmine I feel like I stepped on, my biggest regret, what I feel is a mistake, is not hiring sooner. I had the mindset that I did not know enough, that I was too new at this, that I wouldn't be able to help anybody. I felt like I needed to be at a certain production level, and I needed to be at a certain production level consistently. Also felt like my bank account needed to be at a certain level. And in hindsight, I realized that was very selfish thinking, and that I let my fear be in control. And we have got it set up here at Family First Life where it does not matter where you are in this process, that it's okay to hire. If you are in class and you don't even have your license yet, if it's your first week in the field or you've just finished your first month, it is never too soon to hire. Don't be selfish like I was. We have our entire team. You know, no matter where you are in this business, you bring somebody on, whether it's a family, a friend, or someone that you've met that needs and is seeking a way to better take care of their family. Don't hesitate. Link arms with them and say, I'll be honest, we're going to figure this out together with the help of our team. And you will have that help. So that is one of my greatest regrets, not hiring sooner. And just to maybe give a slightly different perspective on it, we all know how amazing it feels to go into a home where they don't have any insurance or they don't have enough, and we go in there and we help them and we get them protected, and they are so thankful. Hugs, everything at the end. That amazing feeling, guys, that's what we work for, right? Well, let me just tell you, what I have experienced is that the agents that I am helping to go and do that same thing, to go into a home and experience that good feeling, that satisfaction that you were able to help protect that family, when I see them doing it, that feeling is even better. And I didn't think that was possible. And all together, we're impacting more families, protecting more families. And again, that's the whole goal of Family First Life. So please, learn from my mistake. Do not hesitate in hiring. Your hiring manager, your mentor, they will help your new people while they are still helping you. Hope that makes sense to everybody, and go make it a great day.
Hi everyone, I'm Letticia M, and I'm with Family First Life International. And so today I'm going to be training on mainly final expense sales, so mainly geared towards the Facebook final expense. So I'm going to be talking about, you know, my in-home, my phone, my mindset when it comes on to these leads and actually working these leads and getting sales from these leads. So what I wanted to firstly touch on, guys, is that with Facebook leads, you need to have, I would say, a minimum of 60 of these leads per week to have a very successful run week working these leads types. So I would say anywhere from 60 to 100 leads per week will give you a consistently 20 to 30 appointments from these lead types. So we all know that these leads are the fastest leads to get right now in the industry. You know, these older clients are online looking for life insurance. They need life insurance. They need burial protection. So our job is just mainly just to go out there and to help these clients. So if you want to get a fast start real quickly in this industry, I would definitely advise to start purchasing Facebook leads and getting anywhere from 60 to 100 leads per week, and that will get you anywhere from your 20 to your 30 appointments when it comes on to being able to be consistently running these week on a weekly basis, so that you can actually get the numbers, the high volume from these lead types. So now when it comes on to, guys, mindset, when it comes on to reaching out to these clients, mainly my phone script is pretty simple. So I would say, you know, ring ring, Miss Mary. Hey, Miss Mary, this is Letticia McKinley. I'm just giving you a call here on behalf of the Senior Benefits Center in reference to the information you requested on Facebook for the new state-regulated burial coverage that covers your funeral expenses. And you had put here, Miss Mary, your favorite color is red. Is that correct? Good deal. Okay, Miss Mary. So with these programs, You don't have to worry about going to see a doctor or doing any tests or any exams or anything like that. We just need to verify just to make sure that you don't weigh 1,000 pounds and that you're not hooked up to a hospital bed, okay? And most of the times you get a chuckle out of them from that. So once they, they verify that, then I get into, okay, Miss Mary, so are you working or are you retired? If they're retired, okay, Miss Mary, do you have any doctor's appointments, say tomorrow morning between 10 and 11? No? Okay, perfect. So I'm going to be in your area. Put me down on your calendar for between 10 and 11. Can I see that number, Miss Mary? The 425, is that going to be on your mailbox or is that going to be on your house itself? I can see it on the mailbox. Okay, perfect. So let's look out for me, Miss Mary. I'm going to be in a white car. I'm going to have a white ID badge around my neck. And just make sure to write down this confirmation code. It's LMH2O. When I see it, I just want to make sure just to verify that you know it's me, okay? All right, perfect. And that's it on the phones. Now, when it comes on to being in home with these clients, guys, I find that in the first 2 seconds, so, from the handshake at the front of the door to walking me into the kitchen table, because that's the only place we do business is on the kitchen table. Unless they don't physically have a kitchen table, then that's the only place I'll do business elsewhere. But it has to be at the kitchen table. And when I get to the kitchen table, I'm not doing that much small talk. Maybe I'll say, oh, well, Miss Mary, where are you from? That kind of deal. But apart from that, it's not too much small talk. I'm getting straight into business. So what I do is that I show them a copy of my state license, and I always have my ID badge around my neck, visible around my neck, so that they can see it as well when I get to the front door. But I physically take my ID badge off, I hand it to Miss Mary, and I say, well, Miss Mary, I just want for you to verify just to make sure that I am a licensed agent, and this ID badge shows you that I'm a licensed agent in the state of Georgia, okay? Okay, so Miss Mary, I'm guessing that you need some burial coverage, is that correct? Yes. So Miss Mary has to say yes. She can't say, no, I thought it was this, no, I thought it was that. If it's anything other than yes, I'm probing as to what she thought it is. And if it's anything other than life insurance, I'm out of the house in 2 seconds. I don't have time for it. So once she verifies that yes, this is what she was looking for, she needed some burial coverage, or she wanted to see what her options are, or she was shopping around, whatever it is. But she has to confirm that, of course, that is what she was looking for, okay? So once she confirms that, I'm gonna go into my client worksheet. And this is just pretty much, I take this with me in all the homes. This is a client worksheet that we use here at Family First Life Southeast. I'm not sure if everyone has one of these, but if you don't, you should definitely get it, because it has the 3 questions, and we actually added a 4th one, but it has 4 questions on it that I always ask the clients when I sit with them. So when I go into my in-home now, and I say, well, Miss Mary, most of the clients that I sit with, they either don't have any life insurance, they have some, but they don't have enough. They want to leave a legacy behind for their children, or they recently knew someone that just recently passed away. Which one are you? And they always answer. They always have to fall within those 4 categories. They always answer. So if for example, she said, she don't have any life insurance, then I'm gonna dig into that a little bit more, and then be like, okay, well, Miss Mary, why don't you have any life insurance? Who is gonna be the one that's going to be picking up the pieces in the event of your death? And if she gives me that person's name, I'm gonna write that person's name down on my client worksheet, because obviously that person 9 times out of 10 is gonna be the beneficiary. And so I'm writing that down on my client worksheet. And then I'm like, okay, well, Miss Mary, I'm guessing you don't want to leave the burden here on Miss Susan, right? Right. Okay. So I'm guessing that's the reason why I'm here, to see if we can get you some kind of coverage today. Yeah. Does that make sense? So I'm always doing my trial closing throughout the beginning of the appointment. And as long as she's tracking with me, yeah, then we're gonna move on to the next step. So what I also tell clients, guys, typically before I start this, I also let them know that, listen, I'm a broker and I work for about 15 different companies. So, and then I give them like a list of them, Mutual of Omaha, Americo, AIG, whatever the case may be. And I'm letting them know that, so that they know that I'm gonna shop around for them to try to find them the best rate that is out there on the market right now. So they can't tell me at the end that they need to shop and see what their options are, because that's what I'm there for. So Miss Mary, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna ask you a few health questions, and I'm also gonna ask you a few financial questions as well to determine your budget, so that I know which one out of the 15 companies that I work for, which one is going to be better suited for you, so I can make sure that I'm making the right recommendation when it comes on to your coverage. Okay, is that okay? Yeah. Okay. So once they say they agree to that, then I'm going to go a little bit deeper, of course, into my client inventory sheet. So at this point in time, fill out their name. I have their beneficiaries information. Then I'm going to go down into what kind of medications that they're taking right now. So I'm going to get a list of their medications, how long they've taken it, what they're on, etc., etc., how long they've been diagnosed with an illness, etc., etc. Okay. And very important, guys, I always want to know what existing coverage they have. Okay, because then of course we can replace that. And also, if they have anything else in place that acts like life insurance, like an annuity, 401k, IRA, savings, anything like that, because then that as well is another vehicle. That's another way for us putting that money into another vehicle, like an annuity. So I'm gonna ask her all the questions on my client worksheet. So after I've gathered all the information on my client worksheet, then I'm going to go into, so Miss Mary, at this point in time, when I'm going into this, I'm building value so I can determine how much premiums I'm looking at writing the policy for. Okay. So I'm asking her, well, Miss Mary, what kind of burial do you want? Do you want a traditional burial? Do you want to be cremated? Okay, you want a traditional burial, right? Okay. Now, are you aware, Miss Mary, that in the state of Georgia, they can't just bury you like in the ground? You have to have a vault to put you in the coffin and all of that. So, all of that is expensive. So I'm putting that out there so they know already that, it's not just a quick burial where they just put them in the ground and that's it, and that's just the basic thing. No, have to have a vault, and depending on the state that you're in, you have to have a vault. That's required. So it's best for you guys to Google that, and you can put that into your presentation as well. So yes, after we've decided that she wants to be, just wants to be buried, I'm also going to say, well, also, Miss Mary, you did say that you're not from Georgia, right? You're from Alabama. Do you want to be transferred to Alabama? And typically, most people, they want to be buried back in their hometown where they're from. So that as well is going to be an additional cost to have her body transferred back to Alabama. And I'm also finding out as well, guys, if they have any bills, if they have any debt, because the creditors aren't gonna stop because you die. They're still gonna keep on trying to get their debt resolved. And so I'm asking her, what other bills do you have? What other debts do you have? And then they'll let me know if they have, like a small credit card bill or small debt. And also, I want to know if the house that they're in, is that home paid for? Do you have a mortgage on that? Because that's an additional expense that their loved one would have to take care of in the event of their death. So that as well, I'm able to write a bigger premium or write more than one policies, because I'm going to be writing a policy to cover the mortgage protection and cover their funeral expenses as well. So we can combine both and write them, a huge whole life policy, or write them more than one policies, depending on how much coverage they would need total. And also I'm asking, well, Miss Meaike, I know you have kids and grandkids, do you want to leave back anything behind for them? And then she'll let me know, if they need to leave back something behind for their kids or grandkids. That's going to be, of course, an additional cost as well. So based on all of this, Miss Meaike, based on all the information that you've told me, all the information that I've gathered, I think you're going to need coverage anywhere from 20 to 40,000. Was that along the line that you were thinking of, to get your body transferred, get the funeral expenses, to help the grandkids? Was that along the line what you were thinking of? And more than likely they'll say, yeah, 20 or 30 or 40, whatever the case may be. Okay, so fine, Miss Meaike. So what I'm gonna do right now, and I always show them like 3 options, from the highest to the lowest, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter. I always show them 3 options. So I will show them like a $20,000, a $30,000, a $40,000 policy. And then I'm gonna write out on my client inventory sheet, if the policy doubles in the event of an accident, I'm gonna write that on it as well. So they'll see that they're not just getting 20,000, but they're getting 40,000 or 80,000 in the event of an accident. So after I write down that part, or I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. So before I get there to the numbers, guys, because with these seniors that we sit with, they tend to not have banking accounts. I always make sure before I go into any numbers, I make sure that they have a valid driver's license and a valid banking information. And once they have those 2 things, then I go into the numbers. So after I go into numbers before, I typically show 3 options from the lowest to the highest. And I'm gonna go ahead and double it in the event of an accident. I'm gonna put that there and put their premiums there as well. And after I showed them the premiums, I don't just leave it there. I then show them the benefits of the plan and what exactly the plan is and what exactly the plan will entail. Because not because it's a whole life coverage, guys, don't assume that these clients know what they're getting. They probably think that it's still like a decrease in term, or a term policy is going to expire on them. So I never assume that, okay, this is what it is, and just leave it right there. No, I'm educating them exactly as to what exactly they're getting, so that they know the value of it. And of course, that will decrease your chargeback ratio, because they know exactly what they have in place. So I'm going to go into the benefit features of the plan. So I'm going to say, okay, Ms. Meaike, so this is going to be permanent coverage to age 100 or 120. So it's never going to expire. It will only expire when you expire, okay? It will never expire before you expire, all right? Your death benefit is guaranteed to remain level. So it's never going to decrease like some policies and go away on you. No, you will always have that coverage. It will always remain level. Your premiums as well is also guaranteed to remain level. So those premiums as well is never going to increase on you, when you get older. It will always remain constant. It's going to pass on to the beneficiary of choice. So whoever it is, Miss Susan, that you're saying that you don't want to leave behind that burden on her, it's going to pass on to her or to your kids or to your grandkids, whoever it is that you want it to be passed on to. And you know that with life insurance, it's going to avoid them going to probate or court because the beneficiary is already designated. It's going to go straight to your beneficiary. Also, with this coverage, Miss Mary, it's going to be paid out to them tax-free. Life insurance is the only benefit that Uncle Sam doesn't have to, dip his hand into. It's going to be paid out to them, the full death benefit, tax-free. It's also going to double in the event of an accident. And it's also going to cover you, Miss Mary, in the event of a chronic, critical, or terminal illness. And then I'll explain that to them. So I'll say, so in the event, say you had a heart attack or a stroke or cancer, you can access 50% of the death benefit while you're living. So you don't have to pass away to use this benefit. If while you're living, you got stroke, if your policy was $20,000, you can take out $10,000. You can use that to help pay your medical expenses, your living expenses, go on a vacation, whatever it is that you choose to do, you can do that because that's going to be your money, okay? It's also going to build cash value. So if you were ever in a bind, Miss Mary, and you needed to borrow from the policy, you can borrow from it, but just know that if you take from it and you don't put it back, it will decrease your death benefit, okay? And also, it will cover you immediately. It will be immediately effective if you are approved. Now that, Miss Mary, I don't know. I really don't know if we can get you this kind of coverage today. But that is my job to see if, whether or not we can get you approved for this coverage. But if in the event you are approved, then you're covered day one. So right away, today. So there's no waiting period. There's no 2 years, 3 years down the line. If something happens, they won't get the death benefit paid out to them. No, this will cover you right away, day one. Does that make sense? So, Miss Mary, if we were to get you approved for coverage, and again, I don't know, but if we were able to get you approved, which one of these options would make more sense to you, to your budget financially? Which one would you be more comfortable with? And at this point in time, they'll typically choose whatever option will be best suited for them budget-wise. So the key parts of this sale, guys, is just making sure that you're very direct and very straightforward with them at the beginning of the interaction that you have with the client, because they need to know that you're there, you mean business, but you not only mean business, but you're there to help them, and you show that you're there to help them by asking them questions about, what would happen in the event of their death. If they knew anyone that recently passed away, what happened there? Did they have life insurance? Was it able to help them? So by the questions that you ask them, that will determine, of course, whether they see you as someone that will be able to help them, protect them and their family. And once they trust you, you build the rapport, you show them the value, it's a pretty done deal. It's a pretty easy sale. So that is Facebook 101.